If you just recently got laid off, I'm so glad that you found this because you've probably encountered lots of advice. Update your resume, apply everywhere, network like crazy, just take anything that you can get. Well, I have more advice for you today, but it's probably the very opposite compared to everything else that you've heard yet. The strategies we'll cover can shorten your job search by months, reduce your stress, and maybe most importantly, help you find an even better fit than the company you just got laid off from. The real problem here is that almost everything everyone tells you to do when you get laid off is wrong.
This is the Happen to Your Career podcast with Scott Anthony Barlow.
We help you stop doing work that doesn't fit you, figure out what does, and make it happen.
Okay, if you found this on the internet, then you probably already know what you're supposed to do when you get laid off. The only problem is that the things that you're supposed to do actually aren't that useful. Update your resume. Wrong. It's a numbers game, so apply for everything that you can. Yeah, terrible advice. Start networking. Well, that's probably incomplete at best. Tell everyone you know that you're looking. You know, it's usually a waste of time, but hey, it's your call. By the way, if we haven't met before, I'm Scott Anthony Barlow. I'm the CEO of Happen to Your Career, host of the Happen to Your Career podcast. And these 10 strategies are what I wish I would have known the 2 times that I was without a job. They will help you transition faster, get you to work that actually fits you, and reduce your stress along the way. If you stay with me until the end, I'm going to share a bonus strategy that most career experts will never tell you about. Okay, number 1. Let's start with a quick psychological shortcut. This layoff didn't happen to you. This happened for you. Instead of, I lost my job, reframe this to, I now have the opportunity to find work that better fits me and aligns with my goals and my strengths. Shift from the victim mentality to opportunity focus. This is a gift. Yes, I know it's a strange freaking gift, but still a gift. This isn't just a nice to have, this strategy, by the way. This positive outlook, this reframe activates the problem-solving creative part of the brain and reduces rumination and anxiety. That's why I'm starting with it. It paves the way for everything else that we're going to talk about in a minute to happen later. Number 2, hyperfocus your targeting. Target what is an outstanding fit, not everything. Everyone tells you that this is a numbers game. You've got to apply to lots of jobs. Career coaches all over the internet echo this advice, saying you might need to apply to 90 jobs to get a few interviews, which eventually will get you to just one job offer. Okay, this sounds logical. It even feels productive because you're constantly working, but it is a colossal waste of time. I personally have a lifetime application success rate of 70%, meaning 70% of my applications turned into interviews. And I've been on more than 100 interviews in my lifetime. Many of our clients have similar stories. For example, Tanya and Jenna are 2 examples of people whose stories we've shared on the Happen to Your Career podcast that both went after just one company. I'll link those episodes in the description. The secret here is not that you just need to focus on one company, but focusing on fewer but higher potential fit companies will get you better results. Number 3, choose a strategy that fits your situation. Job search strategies are not one size fits all. They should be tailored completely to you, to your strengths, to your experiences, to what type of job and company you're looking for, which is, of course, why it's important that you know what you're looking for. Applying for jobs on company websites, that's great for someone with specific experience in that area. But what about if you're lacking experience? Or let's say that most of your experience is as an attorney, but you want to shift to, learning and development. This means that a better strategy will be by going in through the back door, building and leveraging relationships. This can create opportunities that you wouldn't be able to get through a normal, traditional application process like what almost everybody's going to do. This leads us to number 4, never just apply and wait. Instead, let's leverage marketing and sales psychology to get far better results. Here's an example of what that might look like. Before you apply, you can call up the hiring manager and chat with them. I saw that you had an opening for the HR director. I have 15 years of experience working in HR and operations in all types of companies, but I was trying to figure out if your organization might be a fit beyond what I can find on the company website. I'd love to ask you a few questions about what you're looking for. Do you have a few minutes right now? Okay, so you can have this conversation and you can begin a relationship. And at the end of that conversation, if you loved what you heard, you can thank them profusely and ask, who else would they recommend that you connect with to learn more about what it's actually like to work there, or anything else that you're wondering? They might even be able to introduce you, making it much, much easier. I want to point out that moves like this are where you get to have direct conversations with decision makers who can get your resume pulled out of the stack before you ever even submit an application. This ups your rate of getting interviews significantly. Number 5 here, owning the whole process. Something I've observed after getting to witness thousands of career transitions firsthand are that the candidates who get multiple offers aren't just qualified for the job, they actually own the entire process. While everyone else is passively waiting to hear back after each interview, you can create your own advantage by taking control of the follow-up at every single stage. So you can stay on top of next steps, be specific, make it easy for them to say yes. You can ask very simply, what are the next steps? Who will be involved in the decision? What is your timing for the decision? You can even say, hey, is it okay if I make it easy on you? I would be happy to contact you back if I don't hear from you by next Thursday. Okay, great. Do you have a card with your contact info? All right, I'll give you a call by next Thursday. The 2 keys here are, number 1, you're asking permission. And 2, you're getting all the information to make it easy on them to say yes, to move you on to the next stage in the process. Psychologically, you've now shifted roles. You've moved from job candidate to partner in getting the work done. So you're further positioned as a high performer by comparison to everybody else in the process. That's where we get to number 6. Don't pay for a resume that isn't going to be effective. Your resume is fundamentally a marketing document. The only job is to get you an interview, not to get you hired. The simple way that it does this is by creating immediate relevancy for recruiters and hiring managers and anybody else who reads your resume. So to make a resume relevant, that means every resume you send out needs to be custom tailored to that person or that opportunity. So the question becomes, how do you tailor for the job posting every time without completely redoing your resume? Because it'll take hours and hours and hours and hours. This is where the master resume concept that I developed in 2009 comes into play. So the way that this works is you have just one copy of your resume and you continually add to this document and you improve it forever. Every time you develop a new bullet point or achieve a new result, it goes on the master version of the resume. Now, as you can imagine, this is going to cause it to grow pretty long, maybe 5 or 10 pages in length, maybe even longer. The idea here is not that you submit that resume every time. That would be ridiculous. But instead, you make a copy of the resume and then you delete absolutely everything that isn't directly related to the job posting and the company that you're applying for. It's far, far faster to delete a large amount of items than it is to create a brand new custom tailored resume every time. Number 7, stack strategies. You'll be glad you did. This is a strategy in itself. And I'm sharing all of these not because one of these tips is magic. It's not. But instead, I just want to make the point here that when they're done together, you can get a very different set of results. All the strategies and techniques that we're talking about today, they're learnable. They're not easy, but they're learnable. But not everyone wants to take the time to learn them, which I understand. I've been living and breathing this stuff for 20 years. Okay, so if you don't want to do this on your own, I would suggest getting expert help. And here's the challenge with that. That leads us to number 8. When you get laid off, this causes most people to get scared. It's normal, but it's also a normal reaction to think, I need to conserve every single dollar. The problem here is that fear-driven mentality is going to keep you out of work for longer. There's a lot of great research to say that when emotions are involved and we're allowing emotions to dictate our decisions, we don't always make the best decision. So that's where I go to the math to keep me logical and keep me evaluating what's going to move me forward. Okay, so here's some math for you, and you can evaluate this for yourself in your situation. Let's say that you make $120,000 a year, or approximately $10,000 per month. That means that every single month you're out of work, you are literally losing the opportunity to earn $10,000. So if you think about that for a second, if you work with an expert career coach, do you think that they can help you get an offer just 1 month sooner than you're doing it on your own? Yeah, I would say that's pretty likely for any careers professional that is phenomenal at what they do. So let's just say, for the sake of example here, that you accept an offer in 5 months instead of the 6 that it would have taken you on your own, this is pretty normal. This is a lot of the times what we've seen for many transitions. May not be your exact situation, to be clear here. In that case, though, that means you've offset $10,000. So even if you paid $10,000 for services, you still come out even, but getting to your new situation a month faster. But let's say that you work with even a higher experienced coach who has many results around negotiation. They might also be able to help you make more money too. So let's say that you accept an offer around $140,000 when you've previously been making $120,000. So now you're up to $30,000 and 1 month time ahead of trying to do it on your own. Not to mention the stress that tends to go with tackling something alone. That's a big deal. I would encourage you to do the math for your situation about what that is actually worth. This leads us to number 9, which is capture progress, just one thing per day. I want to point out here, since this is a little bit more ambiguous, progress isn't just about huge, crazy leaps. It's about doing little things that add up over time. Small wins are what build momentum. Now, progress equals reward circuits in the brain. And when we experience something pleasurable, like achieving a goal or receiving a reward, the brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. You don't have to know the science behind it to know that this is creating a positive feedback loop, which accomplishment leads to celebration, leads to dopamine release, increased motivation, which leads to more likely action, which leads to more accomplishments. When you're working on a multi-month long project, which is what this is, it's important that you're setting yourself up for psychological success along the way, because that's going to reduce your stress. It also leads us to number 10 here, which might surprise you, is actually having support from other people. So it's common to want to hide away during unemployment after you get laid off. Really common. In fact, you don't want to talk to anyone about what you're going through, and everybody's asking, hey, how are you doing on the job front? It feels embarrassing. But here's the thing. It's so important to spend time with people who care about you during your job search. This also causes your brain to release oxytocin. And we'll take all the oxytocin we can get, because this is actually going to act as a stress blocker for hormones like cortisol that are going to make you feel anxious and overwhelmed. It's not just in your head. Your body literally shifts from panic stress mode to recovery mode when you connect with others. Scientists call this the tend and befriend response. So this can be in the form of regular coffee dates, calls with friends, search buddy check-ins. They're not just nice to have. You're actually changing your body chemistry in ways that can help you stay healthier and think more clearly during your search. Okay, so all of these strategies, of course, work individually, but we acknowledge that the real power here to get to work that is a better fit while reducing your stress, while being more effective, is actually to stack them together. But in order to do that, you have to build a pretty big plan. So that's where we get into something else that I want to point out here. And that's our bonus tip here. One of the things that we've been able to see is that for people who are making a transition after they get laid off, they misestimate how short of a time it's going to be. Most people are thinking like 90 days, 2 or 3 months. That's what they tell us when they're coming in. And what we actually find is, for many people, it is more like 4 to 6 months, sometimes even longer. So the reason why I'm pointing this out, this is actually a strategy in itself. Build a plan that's going to support you being able to get to planting seeds and doing effective job search as quickly as possible. And make sure that that's going to align with the amount of financial runway that you already have. Otherwise, you're going to create a ton of stress. If you only have enough money for 4 months worth of being time off, that's going to create this situation where you're willing to accept just about anything. And that's not going to be a better fit for you. So instead, I want to encourage you to think about that now. And if you need help with that, then by all means, reach out. It's what we do every single day. It's what we love to do. And you can just drop me an email. Open up your phone, type in scott@happentoyourcareer.com and put conversation in the subject line. We'll be able to connect you with the right member of our team. They will ask you a bunch of questions, and then we'll be able to, from there, figure out the very best way that we can support you and your goals. That's it. So send me an email. scott@happentoyourcareer.com. Conversation in the subject line. By the way, I want to point out that if you're loving these strategies and tips, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and then you can get notified every single time we release a new video.